is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. This is your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio, presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Valdecast Windows and Doors, Level 10 Coatings, and by JeffBuysYourHouse.com with your host, Roger Piper.
Your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio.
Hi, welcome to Home Answers. I'm Roger Piper. This show's all about your home, inside, outside, anything and everything to do with your home. Today we're talking with Jeff Neidiger. He's with JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Roger, thanks for having me back. Looking forward to it.
JeffBuysYourHouse.com. That's where you go to check it out. And I'm going to give you a phone number, and I'll do it again in case you need to write it down. It's 630-895-9530, 630-895-9530. And basically, Jeff buys your house. He can buy your house, and he can do it with cash, and he can do it at your closing and as is. So it creates another option when you're looking to sell your house. You can do it the traditional way, where you go through the process with the realtor, you market the property, you do the negotiations, all of that. Or Jeff can come in and say, here's a price for your house, and what's the situation you need? Need to close, in 7 days, 10 days, 8 months from now. And Jeff will give you a cash offer without having to do the renovations, without having to do the showings, the cleanup, or anything like that. So I think that, it's an option for you to consider whether you're buying or selling. Is that correct?
That's correct. Exactly. Yes, selling.
And we mentioned something called fix-up fatigue, and I think you should maybe patent that. That's a pretty good. I
agree.
I could put that on my chest. Fix-up fatigue, and really, what is that? It happens in spring too. The snow is gone, everything's gone. And there's fix-up fatigue. Tell us about that.
Yeah. It's kind of catchy, like you said, but it's true. And I think we've all been there, and we all have our level of breaking point, right? Some of us, like you and I, Roger, I think we talked in the past where we might be able to take on larger projects, but then you get a little bit further into it, and you're like, what am I doing? I underbid it. It's too much. And that's stuff we can do on our own. Not to say that you hire a contractor and then you got to, figure out the change order and all the stuff that you get behind the walls once you start digging in. But it is spring now, and this is when you start walking around the yard, and after the snow's gone and you see the soppy, wet ground, and you figure out what you're going to do outside and what you're going to do inside, and it becomes overwhelming. So typically the phone starts to ring pretty good for us at this time, because when people are looking to sell, whether they need to sell or they want to sell, there's two different scenarios there.
Right.
But you've got to figure out, is this something I want to renovate? Paint? Do I want to fix? Do I want to repair? Was there damage done all so I can put it on the market? Or do I just want to kind of be the hands-off, hassle-free type experience where you can work with us and we just say, we'll give you a price, we'll take it all. You don't lift a finger, just take your stuff, the stuff that you want, leave the rest for us, and we'll see at closing type thing. We could do both.
Yeah. Now, you're a veteran, which we want to thank you for your service. You got over 360 Google reviews, and you got an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. So we're not talking about one of these fly-by-night companies that come in and basically try to get you into a situation where they're trying to lowball you, or they are trying to play some kind of title switch or anything like that. This is a very credible company, right, Jeff?
Yeah, we worked hard on that. I mean, it's, anybody can advertise and put their name out there, but we've really worked hard on the credibility piece. So if you do go to Google, or you do go to the Better Business Bureau, you can obviously you can see the rating on there, the 4.8 or the 4.9 stars, but really I would encourage listeners to read the reviews. Those are real reviews left by real people. They're verified by Google or verified by the Better Business Bureau, and they tell a story about how they worked with us. And it's really it's really good feedback for all of us to learn from as well. But they're really unmolested reviews. They're written as the person said it, and it kind of tells the entire story of the company.
And the way this works, just so people understand, because they're thinking, okay, he's going to lowball me, he's going to make a ton of money. He's going to hit me on a distressed time, and I'm going to end up getting raped by my, for my house. And we all know that's a lot of people think that. But here, the reality of the situation is that you own all the elements in order to take this thing to market. You work with a lawyer. You do home renovations. You do all of that. And so you're dealing with a wholesale level. And that's really where the profit comes in, right, Jeff? We'll take them behind the scenes a little bit. It's because you're a wholesaler on doing all the stuff you need to take it to market.
Yeah, we've worked really hard to assemble a team over the last, 17 or 18 years that we can do this at the scale that we do it, but also to make it still feel like it's a personal experience. And so we try and say that this is more about the entire transition over just a transaction. And so we've got a whole team built out because there aren't brokers involved in this scenario. So we've got a team that once we work together, they're with you all the way through to closing. But you're right. We've worked hard to assemble a team of professionals that will do right by the homeowners, that are really long-range thinkers, because they're worried about their business and making sure that they can have a nice, strong reputation in the market. And that's what you'll get with working with us. It's not a one-man show. It's been a long time in the running to get to where we're at and continue to build great credibility and educate the market here in all of Chicagoland.
Yep. This is Home Answers. I'm Roger Piper. We're talking with Jeff Neidiger with Jeff Buys Your House, 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com. I encourage you to do that. Now, a scenario that happens a lot, and that is all of a sudden a house is inherited, through a death, a will, whatever, and all of a sudden you've got this house and you don't know what to do. You're thinking about renting it, you're thinking about renovating it, thinking about this, like that. Why are you a very good choice for people in that situation?
Well, as hard as those situations are sometimes, whether it was planned or unplanned, or the passing of a loved one and there's an inherited property, I think those situations really work well for us because we're a family-owned business, and so we want to treat you like family. So we approach it just like that. So we can work together and we can educate you from all the transactions that we've done all across Chicagoland in these circumstances that are really particular for you. And we've had a few where there's been multiple heirs involved. We actually had one recently where there was, I believe, 10 heirs to the property, one executor, and then they had to kind of corral, if you will, the other 9 siblings or heirs, and they were spread out across the country.
Yep.
And they were concerned about it. We were able to, again, through our team, and it took some time. This wasn't overnight. This wasn't like a 5-day close. This was a lot of relationship building to make sure that everybody was on the same page and knew what was in the best for the property, best for the situation, and that we could pull the whole thing off. And we did, and it worked out well. But it was quite a bit of work. But it's a family thing, right? And it's sometimes messy. And that's okay. We'll work with you on that.
Mm-hmm. Give us another example of helping people out.
Yeah, another example is just kind of your cut and dry, where someone, it's really not let's call it, it's not financial hardship. It's a situation where someone calls in and they really want the speed and the convenience. So again, we focus a lot on that time frame. That's not for everybody, but in this scenario, it was. And so these folks were having a job transfer. Actually, I think they were retiring, moving out of state, building a house, I think, in Tennessee. And so they had a time frame in mind. And so that kind of stood out to them. But also, they weren't taking their 40 years of stuff to this new place. Right. They really wanted a fresh start. They didn't want to deal with it. It was kind of a headache for them. And so we came in knowing the situation and priced it accordingly. And I think it was more of a 4 or 5 month time frame from the time we met with them at their home to the time we closed. And that's because they wanted that. And so we looked way out in advance and said, okay, we can do this. And again, the entire time we kept them up to speed and closed on the date of their choosing. They actually were able to sell the house to us, let's say at 10 a.m., and then they bought the new house in Tennessee from Illinois at about 2 p.m. So it worked really good for them because they weren't moving funds around. Everything stayed at the title company, and they left us a 5-star review just saying how it was so clean and seamless. They were really stressing out over this whole transition, the cleanup, the clean out, the fixing, and it was off the table because we took care of all of it.
Yep, and that can make a difference. I know a couple that had a house in Naperville for 30 years, and, of course, they didn't, they were behind in renovations because, you don't have a problem with it. Maybe the market does, but that bathroom looks fine to me. And they said, okay, and they had an offer. They were ready to go to Kankakee. And so what they did is they took a look at the scenario. They're going, what are we going to do here? All right, we're going to have to do all this renovation. Are we going to get the money back? Are we going to do this? It's a hard decision. But the nice thing about your company, Jeff, is that you give people options. Everybody knows the traditional route. Here's the non-traditional route. And they did it because they didn't want to deal with all of the stress of the renovations. And they just wanted to be done with it and move on with their life. And so I think there are a lot of scenarios where it makes sense for people, especially if real estate transactions stress you out, because I think they can make the calmest person in the world, stressed out. It's crazy.
I agree.
But you'll buy their house as is. It's cash. It's closing on your time frame. You don't have to, do anything to the property. It is as is. You'll do the work and you'll put it on the market. Everybody will be happy. That's kind of the scenario, correct, Jeff?
It is. And, to tie it back to that original story with all the errors, one more thing to complicate that was the house. Actually, it was a townhome. I should reiterate that we'll buy pretty much all of them, whether it be a townhome, a condo, or your typical freestanding single family. We will buy all those. Chicagoland's full of all those types of scenarios. This happened to be a townhome in a homeowners association, so it further complicates things because now someone's on the hook for figuring out how the association is going to get paid, and the association wants to know why the outside hasn't been maintained near the house, the stuff that the association doesn't take care of. Well, we step in, and because of all the experience we have and remedied all of that prior to closing. So it's, the executor didn't live here in the state of Illinois. They were actually in California. So most of this conversation was over the phone, not in person.
That's crazy. Jeff Buys Your House. Jeff, thanks for being on the show. We appreciate it. Again, it's jeffbuysyourhouse.com. That's where you want to go. Check out all the reviews, do your homework. And then also you can call them, and they'll talk to you for free. Come out and see you, 630-895-9530, 630-895-9530. Jeff, thanks for being on the show.
Roger, thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Yep. Actually, if you're looking at selling, you should look at this. It's getting all the information and making an informed decision. This is Roger Piper. It's Home Answers on AM 560, The Answer.
Your go-to for all things